Good evening, wrestling fans. Welcome to this week's edition of AIWF Ringside Wrestling. I am Mad Matt Carter, being joined this week by Commissioner Rick Diesel and AIWF Hall of Famer Brian Danzig. Good to see you, gentlemen. How's everything going this week?
Not bad, not bad. How about you?
Oh, I can't complain. I could, but well, you heard my comments about the customer service at Zoom before we hit record, and I'm not going to get into that. It's no sense for another profanity-filled tirade. But anyway, we're hoping fans, for those of you watching the recording here, Zoom has told us that this bug is going to be fixed in October. They didn't say when, but they said they were going to roll out a new version of the app. And so we hopefully will return to Facebook Live very soon in October. But for the time being, I promise you, as soon as we finish recording here, I'll start dumping the video into every other place that we have it. So, Rick Diesel, how are you today, sir?
I'm good, Matt. I'm good. As I am, I'm old. So as the sun goes down and the days get shorter, I get closer and closer to being in my pajamas when the show's on. So we've hit that point now.
Yeah, well, I try to do mine in my pajamas most of the time anyway. So. Well, none of us ever stand up. Anyway, let's get into the slideshow. We got a lot to talk about, and I kind of wanted to follow up a little bit later on from our conversation last week regarding CM Punk, as there's been some things that have happened since then that I think was worth hashing it out again, but either here or there. Okay, so should be able to see the slideshow. Here we go. All right, and as you know, we are putting the headlock on high advertising prices. I got a little trigger happy there. Let's back it up, let you see the prices. Of course, it's $10 a month to advertise with us for a read, 30-second to 1-minute read. If you want a video commercial, we'll be happy to produce one of those for you. $30 a month, or it's a $6 weekly rate, or $20 a week for the video commercial. And of course, your ads can be seen on and heard on all these platforms: Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, anywhere you find your favorite podcasts, and of course the AIWF network on Roku. If you were interested in advertising with us, low price, you visit us at AIWF20@hotmail.com, or you can just grab me at a live event and we'll make the deal right on the spot. But again, there is no better value in wrestling advertising in this country today than with AIWF Ringside Wrestling. I cannot substantiate that comment, but I feel really confident in it. I've never seen a rate this low anywhere. Have you guys?
No, I certainly haven't.
Yeah. So
and you know something else, Matt. I mean, you can go on Facebook and look at our views and stuff, but that really don't tell the whole story with all that. We could be on any. Well, you put it all together, and it could be an unlimited amount of people listening to this show that we don't even know about.
Absolutely. And we just, we want to encourage you folks that are small businesses, side projects. This is tailor-made for you. I mean, I won't even quote the numbers here on the air, what it costs to advertise on radio and television in Charlotte. And I'm sure it's not that much cheaper up there in the Winston, Greensboro television market either. So we definitely are looking out for you guys that are small business people and or maybe just have side projects and stuff like that. Also coming up this Saturday night, it's Veterans Park. AIWF returns, have to deal with the steel and the big flea market show. Man, I have seen, and we are going to announce a couple of matches tonight. If you follow us on Instagram, you've already seen it. If you're on Facebook, you've probably already seen it. But I've seen the preliminary counts for the entire card, and folks, you are not going to want to miss this. A lot of times we talk about after a big event like Deal with the Steel fellas, a wrestling promotion will kind of have a hangover, and maybe for a couple of months the cards won't be as blockbuster, but that is certainly not the case coming up this Saturday night, is it not?
Oh no, it's going to be a great card this Saturday night. We're kicking off the road to Fright Night. Everybody always gets excited for Fright Night, and that's coming up October 29th. And this is our kickoff show leading into Fright Night.
Yeah, I can't wait. One of my favorite shows of the year. Brian Danzig, you've been a part of Fright Night several times over the years. It's always something special in the air when we get ready for the Halloween show, is it?
Oh yeah, it certainly is. It's I know that every Friday night I've been a part of, it's been something really special, and it always has that. Some promotions will, promote their Halloween show as a Halloween event, but with AIWF you actually get that Halloween feeling. It's the decorations and the stipulation of the matches and just the whole atmosphere and vibe. It's like an actual wrestling Halloween event. That's what I like about it.
It really is. It's a lot of fun. And as we get closer to Friday night, I find myself every year going back and like, look, well, now with the Roku channel, I can go back and watch a bunch of old Fright Nights. But I would always really liked when WCW did Halloween Havoc and those type of shows. I really like those a whole lot. And because of scheduling conflicts, for the last couple of years, I've had to miss Fright Night because I had tickets to NASCAR in Martinsville, and I have begged and begged and begged the scheduling committee to move it off this weekend. But they are staunch. No, it needs to be on Halloween weekend. So guess what? If you can't beat them, join them. I have made arrangements. I'm going to be at Fright Night as long as the Lord's willing and the creek don't rise or the car don't break down or any of that kind of stuff. I ain't planning on being there this year. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I cannot wait. It's been too long since I've been at Fright Night. But let's pay some bills real quick here, ladies and gentlemen. Our newest sponsor, Tees Creations Custom Apparel, has joined us. And if you're looking for custom-made hoodies, t-shirts, sweatshirts, they've got you covered. I've even seen that she was rolling out something that looked like either a candle holder or a tumbler on social media earlier today with Ty Tyson on it. I'm not sure what that was.
It's a tumbler.
It was a tumbler? Okay.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure. It was kind of hard to tell with the picture.
That was a special order from a fan who wanted a tumbler with Ty Tyson's picture on it.
Well, it looked really good. So
it come out really well.
It did. So, but you can find out more about Tees Creations. They have a beautiful website. It's teescreations22.com. That's teescreations22.com, or you can visit them at facebook.com/teescreations. That's facebook.com/teescreations. And you can just about any kind of design or thing you can think of for a t-shirt or sweatshirt. I think they do hats too sometimes, don't they?
Getting into that. Yeah. Right now the tumbler thing is their big deal. So.
Tumblers are all the rage right now.
Yeah.
And I'm using one right now too. So and tumblers, look, folks, I know that it's a popular thing. It's how what did you say, Rick Diesel? It's how people sneak alcohol into the malls.
Yes.
And that's true. But you can also put water or lemonade, it doesn't have to be alcohol just because it's something, but they do keep the ice nice and cold for a long time. So, but again, visit Tees.
Watch out for the blue hairs at the bingo game with them things too. Boy, they probably got a little scotch or something in there.
Yeah. By the time you get to the coverall at the end of the night, it's getting pretty snippy in there. Yeah. So teescreations22.com or facebook.com/Tees Creations. Thank you so much, Tees Creations, for coming on board. We love you to death. Thank you so much. And of course, this segment is also sponsored by ARCNC.org. ARCNC.org. It's brought to you by our good friend Bill Pauley, who has been disabled his entire life, and he just got sick and tired of hearing about everything that he couldn't do because his disability. And now he's been in the wrestling business for 14 years, and he's starting over as a referee so he can show his son that is also disabled and others who are disabled that they can live their dreams and be whatever they can be. Now, ARCNC.org is a charity. You can donate to them. They have a lot of great programs they do to help out disabled folks all over North Carolina. But if you are yourself are disabled or know someone that's disabled, you can go to this website to find resources to help you out. Again, it's arcnc.org. That's ARCNC.org. One more time, arcnc.org. And of course, as mentioned earlier, we are on Instagram. You know, whenever I can, I get some breaking news. And I'm thinking this Saturday night, if I can remember, I'm going to try to shoot some exclusive footage for Instagram. You can find us at Instagram at AIWF Mid Atlantic Wrestling. That's AIWF Mid Atlantic Wrestling. And my goodness, what a great following we have there. We're starting to approach 200 followers. And I cannot tell you folks out there how grateful I am. We don't follow everybody back. I know that, but I'm doing that on purpose because I want to keep it just related to advertising the wrestling shows. But thank you so much for all your support. We really appreciate it. And if you send us a comment or whatever, I will do my best to answer it. So I'm not above answering DMs in there. So reach out to us if you've got questions, comments, or anything you just want to share, or if something on AEW or WWE made you mad this week and you want to vent out to somebody, we're there for you. We'll be your wrestling psychotherapist to an extent. You know, if it gets too deep, we're going to have to send you a bill. But anyway, so we said we had a couple of match announcements. Here we go. This is the first one. We've got Ty Tyson, tough man, got the Viking thing going on right now against what I have to say is a maniac in Jackson Sane. He is like the love child of mankind and one of the zombies from The Walking Dead. This guy is out of control. And when he comes to the shows, it's just chaos. He screams and yells in the locker room. He's like a wild animal. I don't know what in the world made Ty Tyson think that signing with this guy was a good idea, but goodness sakes, I'm looking forward to this. Brian Danzig, you've seen Jackson Sane in action. How do you think he's going to match up against one Ty Tyson?
I love watching two big guys fight it out. It's one of my favorite type of matches. And I think that they're both very evenly matched when it comes to size and strength. It'll just be interesting to see. I think this will be a pretty big challenge for Ty Tyson, especially considering he's just coming off of the big battle with the Fighters Club and Jack. It'll just be interesting to see how quickly he can shift gears to a different opponent. He's been focused on the Fighters Club and Jack for so many months now, and now he's going up against other opponents, and this is going to I guess it'd be interesting to see how well he changes his focus to this very dangerous opponent.
Rick Diesel, Ty Tyson, Jackson Sane, your analysis as we go into this. What a match.
I feel like it's all going to come down to whose Prozac kicks in first.
Probably right.
Sure.
Yeah,
I mean, because it's going to, I feel like I've seen them both in action, and I've seen them both, walking the edge in a match. So I guess it's just going to be whoever out crazies the other one.
Yeah.
You're exactly right. Because Jackson's saying he kind of wears his insanity on his sleeve. He just comes right out there yelling and screaming. Ty Tyson's a little more subtle in his craziness. It's like you could just look in his eye and see his craziness, whereas Jackson's saying you can see it as soon as he steps through the curtain.
Ty Tyson can control his madness a little better, and he's a little more methodical with it. Where Jackson Sane's just it's in his name. You know what I'm saying? He's insane.
Mm-hmm.
So, like I said, this is going to be the match of the night. I do believe this will be the match to watch.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, it's going to be wild, no doubt about it. I can't wait to see how that turns out. All I can tell you, fans, is if you're sitting on the front row, don't set your drinks or food down on the floor because somebody might land in it. Let's see another match. This is a match that really got my attention since it's the announcement of its signing, and because of the poster, I am labeling this the Jumpin' Jimmy Brooks Classic. because you got the Panamanian poker Benny Conley. And I know that's an older picture of Mickey Fulp, but he's holding up his fingers like this, with the two end fingers up like that. And it's just like, nothing says, you could put like Battle of the Eye Gouge on this poster and it would be so suitable. But in all seriousness, folks, this is for the Mid Atlantic Television Championship, and Mickey Fulp is no stranger to gold. Neither is Benny Conley. He's got this new attitude here in the AIWF Mid Atlantic, but hey, you can't argue with results. The man is the television champion. He felt like he was kind of got a raw deal when he lost that title, but he's got it back now, and his first defense is going to be against one Mickey Fulp. What's your thoughts, Rick Diesel?
Well, I think I kind of like Benny Conley's new attitude. I think that Benny's been around a long time, and Benny is he can be underhanded. He can be he's a ring veteran. You know what I'm saying? And I think that he finally understands that in the Mid-Atlantic, he's going to have to get back to his roots to keep a belt here. And Mickey Fulp is a sneaky little rat. You know what I'm saying? And he's one of these guys that can take a title from you at any time, without you even know it's coming. So it's going to be a hell of a match.
Yeah, absolutely. It was Mickey Fulp who ended the reign of Ty Tyson, and none of us saw that coming last year during Mayberry days, during the Darlings of the Ring event. Brian Danzig, you're very familiar with both of these competitors. What are your thoughts going into this big television title match?
It'll be very interesting. Benny Conley's got quite a first title defense after winning the title. From what I've seen, the TV title here in the Mid-Atlantic has changed hands quite a bit, which only just goes to show the level of competition and that are vying for that title. And it's changed hands back and forth quite a bit between several competitors, and that could just as easily happen again on the 17th.
Absolutely, no doubt about it. So we'll call it the Jumpin' Jimmy Classic for the AIWF Mid Atlantic Television title. At least I'm doing that. It's not officially yet. It's just an inside joke, But anyway, so look, guys, before we move on, that's the only two things I'm allowed to announce right now, folks. I've seen the preliminary card. Trust me, there are other fantastic matches we've got lined up. Just have not got the names on the dotted line yet, but you want to come out Saturday night. I really feel like something epic is going to happen Saturday night. I just have that feeling there's something special in the air. And, but speaking of things that happen special, the wrestling world has been a buzz since last week after the, a lot of big wrestling shows. There was 3 big wrestling shows last weekend. The WWE had their Clash at the Castle that did not have a castle, which I was disappointed in.
Yeah, kind of like the White Castle of Fear.
Yeah, so there was no castle.
They didn't even have a moat around.
It's like a helicopter and some fake snow blowing around. It's like, what? I don't even know what's going on here.
I know, and there's no way they sold enough tickets or pay-per-views to cover the expense of filming all that bullshit. And and then we get to the match, and it's like, not a castle, no barbed wire, no bull rope, no. Well, it was a bull rope match, wasn't it? Or a strap match is what it was. But like, there was nothing. Yeah, I mean, it ended up being a good match, but it was just like aesthetically, yes. I was expecting so much more.
Right.
Yeah. So, but anyway, they did have 60,000 people in that building, so that was great. I think there was a lot of nostalgia there because people remember SummerSlam back in '92, and the fans really seemed to be into everything that night. So kudos to them, man. Maybe Triple H is going to get this shit turned in the right direction. NXT had a show, then AEW had their big pay-per-view. CM Punk won the world title that night, but he also damaged his tricep. Now we know he's going to be out for 8 months, but he was stripped and
suspended. Probably a good thing because he damaged his reputation also.
Mm-hmm. See, that's why I wanted to bring this up again, because a few things have come to light since last week, and I knew some of these things about the suspensions and whatnot when we did the show last Thursday night, but I wanted to get everybody's reaction to the actual press conference. But according to what we've been told, and I know this is old news for a lot of people, but some people might not know it. After CM Punk left the press conference, he goes back to his dressing room. Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks storm in there. A big fight breaks out, in which I've heard Kenny Omega got bit and got his hair pulled by CM Punk's trainer. CM Punk's trainer also hit one of the Young Bucks with a chair. CM Punk hit one of the Young Bucks with his fist. And just this whole big thing broke out. Now, all these people are suspended. Tony Khan is saying he's got an independent investigation going on. You know, there could be assault charges.
Is MJF involved in the investigation, or is that just something I've heard?
He was a witness.
He's a witness. Yeah, that's what I've heard. He was a witness to the altercation.
So, you know, I don't know. What do you guys think? I mean, this is a good place for hypotheticals. And normally I'm not one who likes to tell people how to spend their money. But since we're just in this podcast, what does Tony Khan do right now? If you're running AEW, or do you just say the hell with it and get rid of the Bucks and Omega and CM Punk and just work with what you got? Because you still got Moxley, you still got Bryan Danielson, you still got FTR, you got some incredible work. You got some bad ones there too, but I think you can build on the good that you got left, even if you get rid of all those guys. What do you think? Rick Diesel, I'll let you go first on this one. What would you do if you were in Tony Khan's shoes?
Well, first off, if all this is straight up, if all this is above board and everything that's happening is legit, then I think he needs to get rid of the Bucks. Actually, I don't think he ever should have brought them in to begin with. And Omega, CM Punk, and anybody else involved. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Even if he just got rid of those primary culprits, they would be fine. I mean, the Bucks and Kenny Omega have not packed them houses.
No.
Not by themselves. I mean, you know what I'm saying? And they've got plenty of drama-free wrestlers and talent there that could carry that company. They don't need those guys. Nobody needs that.
Yeah.
Just cut your losses and get rid of them.
All right, Brian Danzig, if you're in Tony Khan's shoes, what do you do?
Well, I say, regardless of the investigation, cut CM Punk out immediately. Just get rid of him. He's gone. As far as the Bucks and Omega, I've heard conflicting things. I've heard that they didn't kick the door down, that they didn't, that Punk was the aggressor, and they were just defending themselves. If that were the case, then I would maybe keep them in Omega. But if the reports are like they were originally, then yeah, he should just cut all four of them.
Right.
Because I mean, it's just because they don't want, the last thing he wants is to have to fall into the WCW trap of having the wrestlers running the show. And that's what happened to WCW. There were too many guys, there were too many cooks, and some of the cooks were wrestlers, and that just does not work.
Yeah.
You can be in leadership, or you can be a wrestler. It doesn't mix.
Yeah, I agree. But now the first thing you said was you'd cut CM Punk immediately. What led you to say that? What did you see about that whole situation? The press
conference in and of itself was enough to say, okay, he's trashing my wrestlers, and making them look bad. Those are my stars. Those are people I built up, and he's trashing them, and that would be enough right there, because it's like CM Punk is the new Hulk Hogan. Whether or not I'm sure he would hate that, but that's exactly what he is. He's he's somebody who thinks he's bigger than the company, is what he thinks.
Thinks he's untouchable. And right. Just need to reach out and touch him.
Yeah, and nobody is bigger than the show. and he thinks he is. And if he thinks he is, then he can go somewhere else. If you think you're too good for the show, you think all these guys are beneath you, then go somewhere else.
And it's obvious nobody's beating his door down anyhow, because how long did he sit on the bench doing nothing because nobody wanted him?
Since 2014, and he came back last year. So do the math. That's like what, 6 years, 7 years?
Yeah, 6, 7 years. He sat and did absolutely nothing because nobody wanted him. So it's like Brian said, he thinks he's bigger than the company. Show him that he's not.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, you got to do it.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with Brian.
And you have to make the example, because the next big guy that comes along, he's going to think, well, CM Punk got away with it.
Yeah.
So now I can too.
Well, it's like Hogan led to Hall and Nash.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And all those guys who thought that the company couldn't last around, which technically it probably couldn't have been WCW, because they had got it to that point. But WCW couldn't have lasted with them or without them.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Tony Khan needs to get ahead of this now.
Right. Yeah. They could have held that balance of, maybe they couldn't have survived without them, but at the same time, you can't survive with them running the show also. You have to say, we'll pay you, we'll pay the big bucks, but you cannot be in control. You just can't. We're paying you. You do what we say.
In that same vein, all right, even if let's say you fire CM Punk, which, I think it's funny how things have changed over the last week. When it first happened, everybody thought it was hilarious. But now that it's had time to sink in, people are really like what you guys are saying. People are like, God, man, CM Punk was really being a dick. Some of the things he was saying, then Tony Khan sitting right there, and you see the video and you see Tony's face like, are you serious right now? As much money as I'm paying you, and granted, some of the things he said was true, and some of the things that he said are things that we have been hearing rumor mills about, and we all know Adam Page's comments from a couple of weeks ago. That's why I was hoping Justin Flash would be on tonight, so because he's closest to Adam Page of any of us, and ask him about that. But Adam Page saying I don't need help, whatever, But again, that's kind of stuff you can handle in the back,
exactly,
in a conversation behind the building.
Well, also, I mean, I never heard the conversation where Adam Page actually made that comment. What was the context of it? Was he talking about just anybody in particular or everybody in general? You don't need help. Because that wasn't Adam Page we knew all them years ago.
No. But
he was a freaking sponge that absorbed every bit of information and help he could get. And he never opened his mouth with a crossword to anybody. But now, fame could have went to his head. He could be who knows? But I know that it's what they say he is now, what he was when we knew him is two totally different people.
Let's see, August 7th, ITR. All right, August 17th, 2022. Former AEW World Champion Hangman Adam Page says he's not sure he needs to take advice from some of the wrestling veterans and coaches in All Elite Wrestling. Let's see. Speaking at Galaxicon, Adam Page admitted that he's not someone that seeks advice from these colleagues and questions. If given his success, he needs to be listened to. He said, "Oh boy, I don't know. I'm stubborn. I don't take advice. It's a good question, and that's probably the honest answer. I listen to people say things, but very rarely do I listen hard. I was part of the movement that created the entire company, and I'm a world champion. I don't know that I need their advice. I'll certainly listen, but there's something to be said about trial and error and doing it on our own. I take more pride in that." So that was his exact quote. That was his exact quote.
How do you take that?
I don't know. I mean, it's kind of an asshole-ish type statement and disrespectful to the older generation, but I mean, I kind of see his point on the other end too. I mean, I can go 6-1. I think it was definitely a stupid thing to say, because now
I agree.
the veterans are not going to want to help you now. You may not mean any malice behind it. And look, Adam, I'm a dumbass hick from Virginia too, and I've said some stupid shit in my entire life, but you really got to watch it, man, when there's a hot mic in front of you. That's all I can say.
Well, so, and it goes back to who is he talking about? And because I can almost see him sitting there going, okay, I've been in a Bullet Club. I'm huge. I've been huge in Japan. I'm an AEW world champion. And there's people back here that the only thing they've ever done in their entire wrestling career is under Vince McMahon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Could that be what he's talking about?
It could be.
A lot of their coaches are guys that their entire claim to fame is what they've done in WWE.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it. And they only have that one mindset of how it's done in WWE.
But then again, you got coaches like Arn Anderson and William Regal and people like that, that have been other places and have worked all over. I mean, William Regal grew up fighting in bars back in the UK. Arn Anderson's old enough that he came up through the territory system. So, he worked in Pensacola, he worked in Louisiana. Where else? I don't know if he did time in Memphis or not, Brian. You might want to help. He did some time in Georgia and then came to Charlotte and worked for the Crockett's and stayed with them until right before they went out of business. But
yeah, not Memphis that I know of. I mean, he could have, or maybe done a short stint, but I don't recall him being there. But as far as he does have like Rick was saying, he does kind of have a point as far as saying trial and error, doing it his own way, and some of the advice these guys that were top stars 20, 30 years ago, that advice may be obsolete now. They may be telling him to do things that he's like, that's just not going to work with today's wrestling audience.
Mm-hmm. I think
so.
Is there a happy medium somewhere? Because
there is. There's things you can take from the old guys. There's always things you can learn from anybody, even if they're giving you the wrong advice. You can learn what not to do.
Mm-hmm.
You can at least take it into consideration. But I think he was saying that he takes it into consideration in a very weird roundabout way. Like he said that he'll listen, but he may not necessarily do what they're saying.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know, it may just be one of those things where what he said, what he was trying to say got kind of twisted around, maybe.
It could have been.
It's kind of hard to say. I mean, you see that all the time, especially with William Regal on Twitter. He's always saying, I was misquoted. They took this out of context. If you want to know something, just come and ask me. Don't get it secondhand from somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
So who knows as far as that quote, that specific quote goes.
You also had to look at it too. On the flip side of that coin, he did come in with the Young Bucks. And Kenny Omega, and that's the crew he's been running with for a long time over in Japan, the whole Bullet Club thing. So on the flip side of the coin, he could just be that damn cocky because of that. Because the people in the Bullet Club thought that they were the biggest thing in wrestling for a long time, and just because they sold a lot of T-shirts.
Yeah, but people just thought it was cool because there was a bullet on the T-shirt.
Yeah, and I'll be honest with you, I'd never paid attention to Kenny Omega ever until they brought him to AEW. I think did he have a run through WWE?
No,
I didn't think he did. So.
Japan.
Yeah, he was a big Japan. He's a guy that wrestled the blow up doll in Japan. I remember that.
And he wrestled a little girl too. But now he had look. I'm not going to completely shit on Kenny Omega because I became aware of him right before he came to AEW when him and Jericho had a match at, I think it's called Wrestle Kingdom, and that Brian, the biggest show they do in New Japan. And he had a match with Chris Jericho, and somebody put it on YouTube, and I got to watch it before it got taken down. And that was one of the best, hardest hitting, like a combination of Johnny Valentine and Wahoo McDaniel against with modern wrestling. You know what I mean? I mean, they beat the shit out of each other, but there was a lot of high flying. And I remember telling Jinky, I was like, look at this now. This is some rough wrestling. You know,
it's also in Japan.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's that strong Japanese strong style.
Right.
Where you,
that's what
where
they have to do.
You have to beat the hell out of each other.
That's what they have to do. They don't have to do that in AEW.
No.
I think you're seeing the real Kenny Omega now. I think what he was in Japan is just because he had to be. And I think he was in Japan because he couldn't go nowhere else.
Well, and now he's older and he's hurt. You know, he gets hurt a lot more often. I mean, he's back now and he's healthy. You know, and it just kills me, man, because I've seen when Kenny Omega had that match with Bryan Danielson on AEW. Great match. You know, he can do it. But, you know, I don't know. I don't know what's in his head where he thinks that this, you know, jazz hands and all that other stuff, man, it drives me crazy sometimes, you know, because I know the guy has the ability to be a good wrestler. Now, the Young Bucks, I don't know. They seem like they have the same match every time they go out. But, and you know, I'm not a big flippity person. And the reason I'm not is because, yeah, that stuff looks good. It's acrobatics. It's cool. It's dangerous, but people get hurt. And if you look at the AEW roster, look how many people are like, they'll get hurt. Then when they come back, they'll get better. And there's another bunch that gets hurt. You know, it seems like, you know, half of their roster, at least a good third of it. I don't know. Am I just seeing this wrong? It seems like that they're hurt all the time. And it's because they wrestle recklessly, I think, my opinion.
Well, that and the fact that none of them weighs about 150 pounds.
Right. But you would think that would keep
them tiny bodies can't handle that.
Oh, okay. So you're saying it's easier for a guy to miss a plancha over the top rope onto the floor if he's about 250, 280, nice solid muscle, and then a 180 pounder does it and he just turns him into a grease spot on the floor. That's kind of what you're getting at there, I guess.
I'd say get them drunk, push them both off of a deck at a beach house and see which one comes out of it best.
Yeah, man. I mean, I know what you're saying. I personally like the high flying, high risk style, but at the same time, I like it in moderation. I like it to be like maybe the big, you know, the big highlight of the match, like in the middle of the match, maybe. But when you're doing those things throughout the match, you know, me personally, it just takes away from it.
Yeah.
You know, when everybody's doing it and you're doing it several times in the matchup, it's like it's more like you're watching a stunt show than a wrestling match. And you know, I'm not trying to sound, you know, like these old school, these guys don't know how to wrestle anymore. You know, Carl Gott said the same thing about Harley Race coming off the top rope with a headbutt. But
yeah, you're right.
You know, he's like, oh, that spot monkey. It's like, give me a break. It's like wrestling's always going to evolve and change. But I think you need to have a good solid combination of technical wrestling, hard hitting moves, and the high flying. Yeah. But you don't need to just be doing the high flying all the time. You know, for like you said, for the injuries, and also just it gets old after a while. It takes away the specialness of it.
I get sick and tired of the crisscrossing.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh my God. And when a guy goes by, they take their hand and push his back. You know what I'm saying?
You know, remember how cool in 1995 we all thought ECW was?
Yes.
All right. So a few months ago, I went back and, you know, the Peacock WWE network, if you're not in the United States, has just a ton of old ECW shows. And like a lot of them in their entirety, you know, like the ones they used to sell the videotapes with, like Guilty as Charged and stuff like that. And I picked one of them from 1995 and started watching it from the beginning. And the first three matches were the same thing. everybody fighting in the ring, fighting all over the arena, you know, a couple of big spots, people kicking out of the, you know, like power bomb somebody on the guardrail, throw them in the ring, they kick out, you know, a lot of the same stuff we see today. And I just remember thinking, well, looking back at it, like, wow, okay, you know, maybe this stuff doesn't hold up as well as I thought it was, because it was cool back in the day. And maybe I'm thinking that young people are like the same way. Like 20 years from now, they'll look back at some of the stuff in AEW right now and be like, God, why were they doing all that shit? You know, I don't know.
Yeah.
There's just something that occurred to me because somebody had told me online, I was chit-chatting with and talking about watching some old ECW TV shows and how funny they were. And they made the comment to me, that stuff just doesn't hold up for me anymore. It might have been Corey Etzel. But anyway, and after that, I got to thinking, you know, maybe he's right. You know, maybe this stuff doesn't hold up anymore. But I mean, it was cool at the time.
Wrestling's in phases. You know what I'm saying? It like Brian said earlier, it evolves and you have to evolve with it. That's why the AIWF has been around for 30 years. You know, we had our ECW stage. We had our, you know, our WWE goofy stage and, you know, our attitude stage. We've been through it all. Right now, we've got a bunch of little high flyers, just like, you know, NXT and AEW does.
Yeah, but we haven't had any broken bones in months. So, you know.
Right. We've been very fortunate.
Yes.
Well, that's because most of the AIWF wrestlers, while they can do the high flying and they do it, they also wrestle. So that's the difference. It's not just one high flying move after another. There's also technical wrestling, power wrestling, you know, in the mix. And that's, you know, and some of like the ECW, like I'll watch some, you know, if it's just hardcore guys out there hitting each other with pans and mops and buckets and trash cans, yeah, I fast forward. But there are guys who did it right. Lance Storm, Rob Van Dam, Jericho, Eddie Guerrero, and those guys when they were in there, like Rob Van Dam, I think was the best at the combination of high flying, hardcore, and technical wrestling. It's like he would showcase all three of those things in every single match. And I think that was the reason he was, you know, the one of, if not the top guy in ECW, is he knew how to give the audience exactly what they wanted, which was everything.
Yeah,
and one thing too, and I don't care what phase wrestling is going through. As a fan, you can't tell me that as a fan, these people would not rather sit in the crowd and they get into more of a wrestler. As a fan, I feel like they had rather watch the bad guy get the good guy. I won't use the terminology that smart marks do, but the bad guy, get him in an arm. Watch this. Yes.
White. I'm weeding white vinyl.
Okay. You want me to ask Matt or Brian if they have any suggestions for you?
Oh, shit.
It's Monday between 7 and 8.
Like clockwork.
Well, I really know what the time or day is right now. So I'm weeding vinyl that I can't. Can you come up here?
Not at the moment. I'm in the middle of a TV show that you so conveniently interrupt almost on a weekly basis now.
I had gone for a while because I try to remember that shit.
Okay.
Thank you for being such a great sponsor, Trista. That's why we allowed that to go on.
But anyway, as I was saying, as a wrestling fan, I feel like they can never be anything like the bad guy getting the good guy, and, you know, and twisting his arm while he looks at the fans going, you know, now I'm gonna break it. Now I'm gonna break it. Now I'm gonna hurt you. I'm gonna hurt your fan favorite. I'm gonna hurt your hero right here. And the fans get into that so much more than some guy doing 12 flips and never acknowledging the fans were there.
Yeah.
Right.
But-
Right.
But they buy those tickets because they want to be a part of the show. They can
Right.
sit on their couch and watch it for free 12 times a week.
Yeah, so much so you can't watch it all. It's a full-time job to watch all the wrestling.
Right.
now.
But they
It
buy
is.
those tickets and they come there because they want that live experience. I don't care if they're in row 1 or row 40. They want them wrestlers to acknowledge they're there. They spent their money because they want those guys to entertain them on a personal level.
Yeah.
And these guys, and that's one thing that we do better than anybody in this area is we do. And anybody who wants to argue that point with me, I will sit and argue with them for 30 years.
Yeah, you'd come on this show and do an hour's worth of it if you want.
Yeah,
to.
come on.
Well,
But they'll line up on here to tell you that we know what the hell we're doing, whether you think we don't or not. And we've been doing it for 30 years. So, and we evolved. We have evolved. But so many other companies never get the chance to evolve because they don't last long enough for the next phase.
Yeah.
There's so many promotions who they want to do things the way they want them done. It's like, this is wrestling to me. This is what I think wrestling is. And so that's what we're going to do. It doesn't matter what the fans want. Like, well,
Right.
if it doesn't matter what the fans want, then just set up the ring in your backyard and you guys could just watch each other do whatever it is you love to do.
You know, it's funny. I am a wrestling historian. You guys all know that. I mean, look, just show the people watching. I got my Jim Crockett history book right here with an arm's reach at all times, right? So I'm as big a historian as anybody. But I'm telling you what, if you took Johnny Weaver and Jack Briscoe and put them in the ring in front of our crowd right now and had them go 20 or 30 minutes, people would be getting up. Not everybody. There's some diehards in there that would love a catch stand style. That would get up and go to the concession stand, go to the bathroom during that match. I'm not kidding you. Now, if you took Wahoo McDaniel and Johnny Valentine and put them in there in an Indian strap match, it'd blow the new roof off the place. You know what I mean? And one of the guys was telling me, we'd like, we like having, some old school type matches and everything. But if you pay attention, we're in there working arm bars and leg locks and stuff like that, and we're not like, doing stuff off the ropes and like keeping the action fast and furious, they'll sit there and be quiet. And he was right. They will sit there and be quiet.
Yeah, but let me ask you a question, Matt. If they're doing the arm bars and the headlocks and stuff like that, and the crowd's quiet, what are the wrestlers doing? Are they just putting on an arm bar and a headlock, or are they acknowledging the crowd's there?
Yeah, they're just putting on the arm bar and the headlock.
Exactly. And that's why the crowd's just sitting there.
I told people that one of my favorite things that Gorgeous Jimmy Garvin used to do is when he would get somebody in a headlock and be down on the ground, working the headlock or whatever. If the crowd got too quiet, he would just look at somebody at ringside and say, "Shut your stinking mouth," yell, "Shut your stinking mouth." And guess what? The crowd would come back to life while he was sitting in a headlock,
Yeah. They're looking for an excuse to get involved. And if the wrestlers in the ring aren't going to acknowledge them, then why would they?
Right.
They're just going to sit there. They're
waiting for you to give them their cue.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's a problem a lot of wrestlers have, is they don't give them that cue. They just expect that the moves on their own are going to get the crowd behind them, and it's not going to happen. Lismark Jr., the Vianos, they could do pretty much everything that Rey Mysterio could do. But Rey Mysterio had charisma. He connected with the audience. They connected with him, and they got behind him, and that's why he is a superstar. And those other guys, I mean, they're legends in Mexico, of course, but they didn't translate that same popularity here in the U.S. because they didn't connect with the U.S. audience the way Rey Mysterio did.
Yeah, you're right. And if you young wrestlers think we're taking a chance to beat up on young wrestlers, no. This has been a problem ever since I started watching wrestling with some wrestlers. They just don't get how to connect with the audience. It's been that way for 40 freaking years. So no, this is not a older people, younger people type thing. Speaking of good Rey Mysterio, boy, I tell you what, his son Dominic with the dominatrix now is just kind of blown my mind. I absolutely love that. That's good TV. And you know something, I want to give a shout out to Rhea Ripley, because like when you see her in like regular street clothes giving an interview to like just a sportscaster or some internet person, she seems like such a nice and polite person. The girl next door, although a very large girl next door. But I'm gonna tell you what, man, when she comes out on TV with that hair slicked back and that black lipstick and touting Dominic in front of his daddy, like he turned like, God, man, even though I've been around this business for years, like I'm not advocating violence against women, but man, her face is just like, you want to punch her in the face, man. She is so good right now. I got to give her credit. I don't know what you guys think about her, but she's incredible. And I think she's really doing a good job now. Not that she wasn't before, but this thing now is just really twisted that she's got going on.
Like you said, good TV.
Yeah, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Good stuff. Well, let me pay a couple of bills real quick here, guys. Our first sponsor was Branch Management. They are a tree service that operates out of the Mount Airy, Surrey County area of North Carolina. They can help you with branches that are maybe too close to structures, normal pruning, or complete tree removal. They offer very competitive rates and free estimates and are here to serve you. You may also be eligible for a $100 referral for the tree service if you refer a friend and they decide to go with Branch Management. All you have to do to get in touch with Branch Management for the tree service is 336-648-2487. That's all you got to do. Pick up that phone, dial 336-648-2487. Also, wait a minute, got that wrong. Hold up, back it up. See, this is why I'm probably have to stop going live to tape. The tree service is 336-755-8204. 336-755-8204 for the tree service. Now, Branch Management also offers gutter cleaning, pressure washing, and general landscaping around the house. Now, that's a different number. That's 336-648-2487 for the landscaping. 336-648-2487 for the landscaping. And once again, 336-755-8204 for the tree service. That's Branch Management. And we thank them for their continued support. Now, T's Treats is a food truck service that operates out of Mount Airy, North Carolina, that is available in most parts of the state and can be at multiple locations at the same time. They have a full menu, including hot dogs, hamburgers, chicken milkshakes, ice cream, and many varieties of funnel cakes, and now feature mini donuts. When it comes to delicious quality as well as reasonable prices, you cannot beat T's Treats. You can find out more information about T's Treats on Facebook.com/T's Treats, or you can give them a call, 336-755-8204. That's 336-755-8204. Good stuff. Where's T's Treats going to be this week? Do we know?
You know what? Well, they're going to be at the show on the 17th, but they're all going to have everything set up out there at Veterans Park out next to the road. They're going to have both funnel cake trailers, T's Creations. They're going to have T-shirts out there. We're digging a bounce house out. Just going to have a little event out there during the day.
Oh, wow.
If fans want to come early, or if people just want to stop in for, something to eat, we're going to be set up out there all day Saturday.
All right, nicely. And then they'll move the operation over closer to the wrestling show when it gets cooked. Okay. All right, sounds good. So, all right, so we have covered a lot this week, gentlemen. I kind of at a loss for word. I'm waiting to see how the CM Punk thing comes out, but we hate to say it, guys, but I mean, even back in his WWE time, you heard tales of his bad behavior behind the scenes. I even heard Triple H in an interview go one time, and like some of the agents walk up, be like, "Hey man, Punk's back there cussing and he's all pissed off and everything. And he said, I go back there and ask him, hey man, you all right? And he's like, yeah, man, everything's fine. So yeah, I don't know. It seems to be a pattern here. Yeah, it was funny, his comments when he said them, and I did. I watched them 3 times in a row because I couldn't believe what I was hearing, but it'll be interesting to see how things play out as we move forward with that.
Yeah, you're right. It's definitely interesting, for an outsider's perspective, an outsider of AEW. It's very interesting, but it's something that should never have been aired publicly.
Mm-hmm.
You have these grievances, you bring them to the guy sitting beside you once the cameras are off.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've not personally liked other wrestlers that I've worked with before, but you be a professional and you build them up in the public, and if you have a problem with them, you either confront them or you go to the promoter.
Mm-hmm.
You don't take it publicly. You don't trash them online. You don't trash them on TV. You don't say that they don't know how to wrestle, that they're stupid, all these things. They can't manage a target. I mean, that's a very elitist comment.
Yeah.
Running a target, I'm sure, is a very hard job.
Yeah.
And
that's why it was stupid. I think that's why it was stupid to say, I like motherfucker, I'd like to see you go manage a target,
Right. Yeah. Yeah. You probably couldn't handle one section for a week, much less the whole store.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's very, very elitist and very, really showed, even if what he was saying was 100% true, he really showed his true colors, with those statements.
And that was definitely premeditated, because if you notice, I mean, he went in there and he just started right away before anybody got to ask him a question about the Colt Cabana stuff. And I've been a fan of CM Punk the wrestler for years. Okay.
I have too.
Some of my favorite times on SmackDown was when he was on top with the when he had the cult going with the Jesse and Festus. Remember Festus or whatever? What was that guy's name? Owns a tattoo shop in Florida. I'm sorry, his name escapes me. And
I know who you're talking about, but I can't
sorry,
think
guys,
of
other business.
And Serena Deeb, and some of those promos that he used to cut on SmackDown, man, were just some of the best I've ever heard in wrestling history. And you know what? Say what you want about Adam Page, and maybe that fired him up, because I was telling you, Rick Diesel, they went out there last Wednesday night, and him and Bryan Danielson had an old school beat the hell out of you kind of, like I was talking about Wahoo and Johnny Valentine earlier. I mean, you saw that Daniel, I still call him Daniel Bryan sometimes. You saw that. I don't know if you guys saw the freaking welts on his chest after that match. It was incredible. And and Adam Page had a look on his face like he was just enraged and ready to kill somebody. And I tell you what, if he could channel that every time he goes out to the ring, man, the sky is the limit, man. Because
maybe it was just a relief to know that Punk wasn't back there.
Yeah, maybe they were walking on eggshells around him.
Maybe that. I mean, he could have been toxic in that dressing room, and if he was, it would have affected every show he was, involved in.
It can definitely happen.
Oh yeah, I've seen it happen in the corporate workplace. If you got somebody that's toxic like that, everybody feels like they have to walk on eggshells around it. It is definitely just absolutely kills the morale. And
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. You can show up with the best attitude yourself, but then when somebody is around pulling morale down, it's just, there's only so much you can do. It drains you, and you're not going to perform at your best,
right.
Whether it's in a wrestling ring or in an office or a factory or wherever you are.
Exactly. So the message for you children this week is be nice to each other at work and school. And if it's really that bad, don't settle it in a public forum. Go out back and settle it one-on-one.
There you go, in the smoking area.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. For you.
You don't have
Man.
to like your coworkers, but you do need to be professional. You're in a professional setting, so act accordingly.
Because if this would have happened, like, you know, I've done people, there's no secret, people that know me. I've done call centers for my shoot job for many years now. You go in the break room and get in a 5-man fist fight and start throwing chairs, everybody's gone. It don't matter who started it. You're all gone. You know, I mean, so it wouldn't hurt my feelings none if Tony Khan just cleaned house after this and just was done with everybody. Like, oh no,
start over. There's plenty of talent out there.
There is. There's plenty of talent. And there's like, I'll tell you what, there might not be as many top stars available right now because everybody's under contract. But guess what? The indies are chock full of talented people.
That's exactly right.
This close to being able to do wrestling for a living on TV. And that
all they need is an opportunity.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. Look at Karrion Kross, for God's sakes, man. You know, WWE sent him home. He went back to the indies, kept grinding, and guess what? He's right back up there now. So, you know, say what you want about the guy, but hey, he's back. So anyway, any final thoughts? We're about out of time, gentlemen. Brian?
I'm just really looking forward to the 17th. It's you know, with the 2 matches that have already been announced, those matches by themselves are worth the price of admission. Everything else is just going to be icing on the cake.
No kidding. How about you, Rick Diesel?
Be there on the 17th. Just because it ain't announced don't mean it ain't gonna happen.
Yeah.
I kind of like the fact that they don't announce every match because sometimes you need a surprise. You know what I'm saying? That's what I like the best about the way, you know, we do things where we don't have every match on the card because people come in going, all right, well, I know what match is in, and 9 times out of 10, they can just about guess who's winning.
Yeah.
And so sometimes a little surprise is good, and you never know with us.
And, you know, we did the Labor Day show when I saw that Corey Edsel and Matt Anderson were on, when I got the card and that was on there. You know, I went to ringside and was like, Darren, look. And I've done that with you too, Brian. You know, when I walk out with the cards, look at this match, you know. So it's as exciting for us as it is for you guys. So kudos to the AIWF Championship Committee and the people that make the matches for keeping it under wraps. A lot of times it does work out better. I have to agree. Fans, we'll be there. 7:30 is the bell time. Doors open at 6:30 this Saturday night. It's at Veterans Park. It's on West Lebanon Street in Mount Airy, the home of AIWF Mid Atlantic. We certainly hope you'll join us. It's going to be a great night for wrestling. And buddy, don't think that we're going to be on a hangover. We're going to have to deal with the steel. We are working our way toward Fright Night in October, and it is going to be rough. It is going to be wild. And the only way you can see it uncensored is show up at Veterans Park. It's going to be a lot of fun. So I guess that'll do it for us, gentlemen. So for Brian Danzig, for Rick Diesel, I'm Mad Matt Carter. Thank you again for joining us for AIWF Ringside Wrestling. We'll see you next week, fans. And until then, so long for now.